Hi, hi everybody. This is the first time doing something like this, so I'm a bit excited. Let me close all these things over here. Yeah, great. So my name is Aviad. I'm let's call it a web developer. I'm a third-year computer science student. I'm passionate about front end and basically JavaScript, everything that is JavaScript related, Node as well, and I've been writing Angular for like 2 years now. Did some projects, some of them like pure Angular, or some of them like over Cordova or Ionic or stuff like that, Meteor.js, all those kind of things. And I was recently, some like 3 months ago, I recently started going into React and going through the guides and tutorials and trying to do stuff. Did my latest app was something actually for school that I was trying to make it harder for me, so I did with like everything like authentication flow and stuff like that, but nothing like too complicated. I was mainly to understand how like the Flux thing work and how like this whole paradigm is looking. And now I'm gonna build an app starting from scratch, everything like from the how-to of React Native all the way through an authentication flow, full authentication flow, and splash screen and like views and getting outside to the server and everything. It's gonna be new for me, so some things might be a bit exhaustive if I'm like stuck on a bug or something, but I hope you'll have fun. And if you have any questions, feel free to write on my chat. It's like, I think it's on the either side. I'm trying to look at it as much as possible, but I'm not guaranteeing anything. And channel, at some point they're gonna appear over here too. Links will be below, and some other cool stuff are over there as well, so help yourself. Okay, so let me just pop the chat out. It's through here. Let's see if this is working. Cool. All right. So when you're starting with React, let's close all these tabs. They say don't need, they say don't need either. So when you're gonna hit React, the React Native, I mean, you're gonna see the get started, and you're gonna see like a lot of components and like heavy stuff. If you haven't seen React before, I'm recommending to go see it just in order to get the taste of what's a component like to start with, and what's the whole functional paradigm that React is presenting, that the component gets state and introduces some UI and pure function and all those kind of concepts. Very interesting, very fun actually. Once you're done with that, we can start doing the React Native things, which is what Facebook introduced, I think, to Android was like a year ago. The thing React Native does is like you're gonna build everything with JS6 or JS, and in a magical way, React Native is gonna compile it into native code. Like I have my phone over here. It's gonna be compiled into Java, pure Java, not like if you're familiar with Cordova or Ionic or all those kind of frameworks that are basically opening a web view over your phone, which is actually like a web browser wrapped inside some kind of an app. So in this case, it's not going to be like that. It's going to be pure native code, which means more performance, more user experience. Nothing is like some stuff that happened in Cordova is like when you click, you have some lag, and then like user like, okay, what's going on? It's not native filling. With React Native, it's gonna be not like that, and it's gonna be more pure flow. It's called like that. So I'm using a Windows. As you can see, iOS is not supported right now by Windows. So I'm going to be compiling to Android. I'm going to be using an emulator. You're going to be seeing it later here on my your left side of the screen. So I've been already through this process of installing all the prerequisites. So Chocolate, I never used it before, but I installed it anyhow. Some like wget or like apt-get, they're writing it. Next, I installed Python. I already had Node and did install the React Native CLI. This was the heaviest part of the download, the Android Studio. The heaviest part of the Android Studio was actually to install the SDKs. Do note that there are some specific SDKs that they're asking you to download, all this section right over here, which are not selected by the default preferences of Android Studio, so you must manually click them. Variables, like environment variables, I had a lot of troubles with those. Not a lot of troubles, just some difficulties. Android Home did work, but Java Home wasn't set, and it was I got a lot of errors, and then I realized I'm missing the Java Home environment variable, so you need to make sure those are working. All those bugs gonna pop up. I did enable the Grail thing, by the way. All those problems gonna pop up once you're gonna be doing, let's go down, this thing. Once you're gonna hit React Native Start, if any of the things below did not go properly, then you're gonna hit errors and loads of those. So make sure you're doing everything properly. And I did run into this actually, for some reason I didn't install the the virtual device, but so you just do a manual, it's pretty easy. Okay, so let's dive in. So I'm gonna open another project. Let's go through documents. Code projects. Let's go. I have a folder React Native of some tryouts. I will make, wait a minute, we'll make let's open command line. Someone's coming. So, I will make an app via React Native, just like the guys says over here. Let's open it like that. Hi. So in order for us to start, we just need to type in React Native in it, and the next thing is going to be the project name. So let's go with Brenda. Why? Because Brenda is the name of our app and the name of our dog, and our app is going to be about our dog. So Brenda is right over there. So as you can see, we're gonna have some regular npm install things that are already coming in, and they're wrapped inside the React Native thing, so we can't see the whole progress bar going up. Believe me, it does that behind. Just for the sake of, I have WebStorm. I'm gonna open the project right here. So we have already Brenda. Let's go with OK. Everything is brand new. So as you can see, for now we just have the package.json. And if we're gonna click on it, just usual stuff. No, it won't indent that. Let's see if anything pops up on the chat. No, nothing. Okay, if you have any question or stuff, let me know. So let's go with that. Okay, no dependencies or something special for now. Let's see if it's finished. Okay, this is from earlier. Let's exit that. It's still installing. I hope it won't interrupt the stream. Another thing I'll do, I do wonder if it gets an git ignore thing. Yes, it does. Cool. We'll use it. So it's still an installing thing. Okay, for now, which backend you're gonna use? So this is gonna come up not way later, but a bit later. Is a part of the thing I'm gonna make a mid server, and I'm gonna use Firebase. What do I mean by mid server? I'm gonna make a nodeJS standard server that it's gonna be a link between the client and between Firebase. If you're not familiar with Firebase, it's equivalent to what used to be Parse, which is closed now, by Google. Very easy, very fun, and mostly easy. So I'm gonna use that. The server, the one we're gonna implement, is gonna be the one who's talking with us and us as a client, and with the Firebase server as well. And for the part of us as an app going out towards the server, we're gonna use a Flux implementation called Cartiv, C-A-R-T-I-V. You have the link below in the description. And it's a cool Flux implementation I got introduced to recently. Worked fine. I did one project for React Web with it, and I'm gonna use it again, just for the sake of. Let's see if something got installed here. Yeah, we're starting to get some modules. There you go. Some dependency React Native got in. Yeah, npm install is usually the frustrating part, so I'm sorry for that. I hope I answered your question. If not, let me know. Let's see how many modules. As you can see, we're packed with modules, everything from Babel. React Native is using it behind the curtain for us, actually. Let's see, anything else? Lodash, obviously. Probably React itself. I can't see it for some reason. Yeoman for generating. Where's React? Oh, what? React Native, there you go. React Proxy, some other things. Cool stuff. You can see the Gradle thing over here, which is part of the compiling process for Android. Good at thinking about Firebase too from my React Native, but someone said Meteor is good for this. Meteor is fun. Didn't try it on this platform, but I do think I'll try it at some point via over React Native. For now, I'm just playing with the React Native and the Firebase because this is what I predefined for myself basically. And once I'm done with it, maybe I'll do the next thing on that. Still installing. This is killing. Let's make a quick jump. Let's open this, and yeah, I have something I've built before. This is not, I didn't build that actually. This is the thing we're gonna get once it's done installing. So it's gonna be looking something like that. We're gonna have, everything is ECMAScript 6 obviously. So we're gonna have import React and component from React. We're gonna have something called app registry. We'll dive into it soon. We're gonna have style sheet, text, and view, and all this coming from React Native. Too much magic. Yeah, true that. So this is the, if you're not familiar with this is the class syntax for coming from ES6. Basically, behind the curtain, this is just regular JavaScript. This is some kind of syntactic sugar, we can call that. So we have class, the app name or the component name actually, extending component, which was brought from here. Standard React element, we're gonna have the render method, some JS6 style elements over here, and wow, this is long. And in here we can see something that I've never seen before on regular React, let's go like that. We have some variable called styles, and it's coming from style sheet and some static method called create, which is getting actually an object composed of other objects. Let's see, for the first sub object, it's called container. If you already have the feeling, then you're right. This is very like the regular CSS we're used to see. So first thing is going to be here is Flex. React Native is using the let's call it Flex layout. It's written all their website how to deal with the Flex and what exactly the units mean. Justify content, align items, background color, all of these are self-explanatory. This is long. For now, I'm gonna wait. Oh, the last line. If we're used to React DOM, actually, if we're used to go React DOM, and it's gonna be like I think it's a create. I can't remember exactly the API, but it's gonna be something like React DOM. Put this component in document get element by ID and app, something like that. So in here it's a bit different. We're gonna use the app registry, and if you can remember, it came from React Native itself. So you're gonna use the app registry, and we're gonna use a method called register component. We're gonna say the component name, declare the component name, some anonymous function, and the component itself. And as you can see, this is that. Okay, so that's how the component's gonna be looking like, but only the ones who are interacting with, let's call it DOM, even though it's not a DOM, but all these elements are the one who's gonna be sent to the device. Other elements are going to be exported as usual. Let's go like export default and component name, something like that. It's going to be all the same, and that's the cool thing about React Native. It's looking a lot like the same. So from what I've tried so far, writing the code for React Native is very, very similar to the regular React, with a small difference. And this is bugging me that it's not done already. Oh, maybe because of the stream upload. The difference is that we have, except for the the difference is the difference lies within the base component. What do I mean by that? Or the core components. If we're used to HTML tags, some like h2 or divs, or you name it, right? So in here we don't have divs and we don't have h2. We have the core components of mobile or native world, which are views, text, as you can see here. They have some scroll bar or navigators and stuff like that, which are new to us as React web developers. But if you're coming from the mobile world, it's going to be very intuitive. Something like that. Very intuitive. As you have already seen these words, maybe it's going to differ by a bit from iOS to Android or something like that, but mostly it's going to be the same and very similar to each other. The whole idea behind React Native, if we want to recall that, is making an app which you're going to have one code base that's going to be compiled into whatever platform you're going to use. This is very helpful since that's the problem everyone is trying to solve. Cordova tried that, PhoneGap, Ionic in some way. They're trying to solve the problem of we don't want to write the same code 5 times for like iOS, Android, Windows Phone, you name it. We want to write it once, let it compile, and we want it to look the same, or like the same up to some, like, you know, up to some constant that it's going to differ from one another. But that's the main idea, and that's the issue everybody is tackling today. For some reason it says select node git, I'm not sure why. Let's see for the chat. So with React Native, no need to use something like Webpack. So for us, there are some, I'll say something like that. For us, we don't see. If we're going to use the regular API of React Native, I might be wrong about that because I have seen boilerplates that do use Webpack in some way. I haven't digged too much into them. But if we're going to use React Native run Android, we're not going to be seeing any Webpack. But once I'll get initiated with the preview, so you'll see it's going to say something like sending bundle.js to mobile. So bundle.js, that's like everybody's association is to Webpack immediately. And behind the curtains, I do think, and I tend to believe that React Native does that, or some kind of bundling before the compilation part. But we don't see any webpack.config or bubble presets or stuff like that. I haven't seen that. I wasn't in need to do any stuff like this. And I did try to make a camera app, like a very small, and like try to do some implementation of a splash screen, and I did not need those. So that's a big relief. Actually, Webpack sometimes can be a huge pain. and that's a fun thing to have actually. And yeah, that's a lot of magic, as we said before. And wow, this is exhausting. Okay, let's see if I can show you something like here. No. Okay, what I'll do for now is you're gonna use Flux. Yes, but Flux is like more of a paradigm rather than a library. I might be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong in that part. Flux is more of a paradigm. I think it's some kind of extension for the observer design pattern, if you're familiar with. And basically it means it tried to push forward the reactive paradigm, which means once I'm gonna get an attribute or like a state actually, or props, then I'm gonna react accordingly. And as again, we're gonna use a pure function. We are, yeah, but I like more Redux. Okay, one second about Redux, and we're gonna use pure function and all this methodology about Redux. So I was in a hackathon trying to use Redux for some app that we built over there. It just was a tryout of React. A lot of overhead to use Redux. I did not understand the stores. Now I do, yeah. But at that point, it was like I couldn't wrap my head around it. It was like stores and it was like dispatcher, and like what the hell is dispatcher, and why I can get my data, and where the fuck did the Ajax comes up, and like what's going on, and it killed me, and it killed actually killed the hackathon project. And I did not understand how the data propagates. I think that was the biggest problem, how the data would propagate down the tree. I could not get that to work. I got like another pro guy or mentor that was there, and he couldn't tell me what was wrong with it. Something was definitely wrong, and at that point I was like, okay, let's pivot toward Cartiv, which looks cool, and it was cool. So I'm using that. I will go towards Redux and Reflux and all those kind of things further in the future. But for now, I'm gonna have fun with the you too. Everybody has that. For now, I'm gonna have fun with Cartiv. Meanwhile, I do recommend reading about Cartiv. They have an interesting approach toward all this Flux architecture. They say that components do let's go let the data propagate downwards, like every React library would do. But they also say we're using what's the word for that? I think I don't have the word for that. We're using like everything is on the same level. All the components are on the same level when they're reaching out towards the stores. The listeners themselves obviously like let the data propagate down, but when we're talking with the stores, there's no dispatcher that goes through like the main component and stuff like that. The component, if he wants, it just pops an event, and whomever listens to that event or the event that comes back from the store is whomever is going to get the data. Okay, what I'm gonna do for now, I think I'm gonna stop the stream for like 5-10 minutes just for it to get down, because it's uploading on 1 meg per second, so it's barely killing the bandwidth. So I'm gonna hold it for now, and I'll be back once it's done. Not for you. Okay, and we're back. So let me change the view. There you go. So on the last thing we've done, we tried to install everything that React Native asks us for. This was done via these lines, React init and the project name. As you can see, we have some huge login errors because npm, and why not. Some of the things that we got here, we got node gip, which always gives me an error. I'm not sure why. We have this line here, which I haven't tried yet. If you're trying to build projects like more like together all in one time. You can add for /m flag for like parallel compiling, which is interesting. We're gonna try that. Some cl.exe is missing. I'm not sure why, but I had that before and it didn't affect any. What else failed? Something ms build. Okay, yada yada yada. And after all this error stack, we have the following. To run your app on iOS, you have to do some stuff, which we're not going to do because we can't run this on iOS right now. To run this app on Android, have an Android emulator running, quickest way to get started, or a device connected, and then like React Native, run Android. So I do have a device that I was trying to run on before and it did work fine, but in order for you guys to see, so I'm gonna try, I'm gonna open up the emulator. So I think it's Android AVD, I think that's a command for that. Yeah, good. Okay, just before, so we have the standard Android Virtual Device Manager. This comes up with the Android Studio. It's all with it. I have a device named React Native. It's using Android 6.0, which is the Marshmallow API level platform and some stuff like that, just so you can see the configuration. So the name is React Native, is using Nexus 5, Android 6.0, using the CPU of Intel Atom 86. No skin, no front, no back cam, 2 gigs of RAM, 64 megabits of heap, internal storage of 200 megabits, and that's it basically. So let's hit start on that. Scale display, yeah, and launch. So it's gonna start the emulator. I'm using SSD, so this is partially fast. This is the new emulator that's coming out with Android Studio 2.1 or 2.2. Should be way faster than the previous one, which was wow, which was like you cannot work with. We have the Android thing loading. Let's pop this to the other side. Where did the thing go? There we go. Unfortunately, Launcher 3 has stopped. Okay, that's a great start. Okay, and we have the thing over here. Cool. We can close the Android Device Manager. Yeah. The React thing says, the React tutorial says, we need to change it to the project we have, and then React Native start run Android. Sorry. So let's look at a command line. We have there, so we need to change. If you remember, our app name is Brenda, so we have to change it towards Brenda. Let's see what we have inside. So we have some bug config, which is the Facebook compiler. This is a very interesting thing to look at, because it loads partially stuff only if they get modified, so it shortens the compiling time. We have gitignore, we have Android, we have index.android.js, index.ios. We're gonna soon open that up in WebStorm just to make it like visible. And we have a folder called iOS, and we have another one called Android, node modules, and package.json. Let's try to hit that. Sorry, React Native ran Android. Let's go. Click enter. Your magic. Oh, and that's the thing. I told you it's gonna pop up. It's called the React Packager. Sorry, this got closed. And these two bad boys are gonna dump a lot of things to the log. As you can see, it's gonna configure 2 out of 2 project. I'm not quite sure what the project means. It's gonna have pre-build. As you can see, the up-to-date thing. I think this is coming from the bug. It's gonna, once you're gonna have like more modules, you're gonna see it's gonna say that it compiled only the things that were now modified. Now, which is interesting to see. It's gonna shorten the not the initial compilation. Okay, good. So we had some small fall. What happened? Good, I opened the chat. What happened meanwhile is this thing kept going with the compilation thing, it done with the build, and then you can see it starting the app on emulator 5554 and something, and then main activity, and we can see the React packager over here. I'm not gonna spoil that. We're gonna see the React packager over here, and then like start building dependency graph. Facebook loves graphs. Building a memory file system for JavaScript, assets, yada 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 yada, and then we saw here it transforms the dependencies, and then it done that in 14 seconds. Kind of a lot for for compilation, but remember that's the first compilation. It's gonna get shorter and shorter. And then we have a request for the index.android.bundle. If you remember, you asked about, are we gonna see Webpack? And I told you we're not gonna see that. But as you can see, I think this is getting bundled behind the curtains, and dumped towards the compiler, and he dumps that on the device. So we did React Native run Android, and this is what we're getting. This is our emulator, and as you can see, welcome to React Native. To get started, edit index.android.js. Shake or press the menu button for dev menu. Okay, let's reopen the web store. Okay, web store is loading behind over there. There we go. So let's open Brenda back again. Here we are. One thing I'm gonna do is pop another command prompt and set it for documents. Sorry, not desktop. Documents, code projects. React Native and Brenda git init, just so we have repo. I will pause the repo, git status, git add git ignore, git commit -m, edit ignore from black box. That's how I will. Okay, cool. Git status. And let's go git add commit init React Native app, blah blah blah. Okay, cool. Let's see if we have that thing over here. GitHub. To GitHub. No, this is not what I want, but I'll do that later. I'll just configure the GitHub toward my project. So back to our thing, we said that we have something called index.android.bundle.js, and on our screen, let's see, just see that this is good. We're here, but the video stops sometimes. No clue where that happens. If it's getting too bad, just let me know and we'll try to fix something. Let's close that. Not sure how it's gonna help. Okay, so back to our thing. We have our device saying, welcome to React Native. To get started, edit index.android.js. And if you remember, we saw that previously that we have this thing. Let's switch to JSX. Do your thing, and no more linting errors. There we go. So we have the import React, the import component from React. We have app registry, we saw that before, style sheet, text view, React Native. And then we have class Brenda, it extends component, and we have view, which gets style. We're gonna go over that soon. We have text. We have some other things. Let's just check. No, it's okay. We have some other things. We have the constant over here called style, which comes from the create method of style sheet. And we have this coming app registry, register component called Brenda. Okay, cool. So this comes up for the Android, and I talked with this Facebook guy today, and he told me that React Native knows on run or on compilation, he knows which file to associate with each platform. So if you're going to compile for iOS, only let's call this asterisk.ios.js is going to get compiled towards the iOS devices, and so the same thing is going to go for the Android devices. But the interesting thing that comes up immediately is, why do I have two index.js files? Like, let's ignore the Android or the iOS. Why do I have two index files? We said we're going to maintain a single code base. So actually this comes up because of the following reason. As we said, the compiler knows to grab each platform. Let's see, no, it's okay, good. It's going to grab each platform's associated files. So when we're going to compile to iOS, we need the index.ios.js, and we're going to compile to Android, we're going to need the same thing just for Android. So we must have this thing coming up for us. But in order for us to maintain a single code base, we're going to do the following trick. So I'm just going to create here a directory called components. I'm not sure this is the best practice of how the directory structure should be like, but this works for me, so I think that's fine. And I'm going to insert here a JavaScript file called app. This is cool. Let me just copy all the imports. Okay, cool. So component of React, we're going to use app registry. We're not going to use here because we have the point coming in from the index.android and index.ios. Style sheet, I'm not sure. Text MV, I'm pretty sure we're not going to need, but let's just leave them like that for now. So we said class app extends component. This is the regular thing, and render method. Now, return. What I'm gonna do is the following thing. Since we said we want a single code base, but we have two entry points, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna work around this by saying index.android.js. You're good and everything, but I want to write this thing only once. So let me copy that over here. Okay, this is the same code. Let me keep that open. Let me exit that. And let's copy the style as well. This is going to be outside the class thing. Okay, the return is giving an error, obviously, because we're not returning anything, and this is a must over here. We can delete all those. Cool. And what I'm going to add here is export default and app. Okay, so our class is called app. We're going to export that, and we have some styles and we have some things. Cool. What we're going to do over here then is import app from /. This is super important. I'm going to say something about it in a sec. /component /app. Okay, cool. Now this thing, everything almost every error that I hit on my way to like trying to use the React Native before doing this tutorial, and this is not a lot, but I did do a couple of things. Everything that I did like that, which is still a valid path, but is not an app and a relative path, sorry. Everything I did like that gave an error immediately, like nothing you could do about it, and like let's go and realize what, I mean, it's gonna say that the file is not there even though it is there, and you're gonna like hit a wall, like what's going on, I'm not sure. And this is gonna fix that. The // is gonna fix the thing immediately, and this is something to pay attention to. This is like a pain in the curve, in the learning curve. So we did import app, and we're just gonna we're just gonna say app. Okay, since we're not giving any childs or props or anything, this is just gonna go like that. And let's see if we got everything here correct. So we're getting app registry, and we're gonna use it over here. This is cool. We're gonna return the app component, which we're importing here. And I think that's it for the Android thing. Now, same thing is gonna go for the iOS thing. So I'm gonna erase all those. You can actually shrink it like that. Cool. So class burner return, this is the same. I do need to import app from /components.app, and I'm gonna return here on the same thing. I'm gonna return app. Did it again. There you go. App. This we already set on app.js that we just copied from the Android. It's the same styling basically. Let's see if it's on the spot. Margin 10. Let's go like pick randomly 3 attributes, and yeah, it's all the same. So I'm gonna just delete that. This stays the same, and basically, no, it's okay. Basically, both entry points, the index.android.js and index.ios.js, look the same right now. Okay, so differ from the shrinking thing. Okay, let's see if we have git. There we go, add root. Okay, cool. So let's go like that, and we say this was not added for some reason. Sorry for that. This was not added, so cmd documents /code product / React Native Brenda gitted, and there we go. From now on, Webpack is going to do that for us, but since we did that file outside of Webpack, of WebStorm, he's not familiar with that. So let's commit this thing. Generated app component to maintain single code base. This is a bit. This you should be used to already, but do commit a lot and often, not too much, but a lot and often, in order for you to be able to revert in case you basically fucked up something. So if you remember, we just removed everything from index.android.js and index.ios.js into the app component, which is going to be our unified code base. I'm going to commit that at moved index.star.js into app comp in order to process to create single code base. As I said before, I'm gonna put the link to the repo. I'm gonna put the link to the repo below on the channel, so keep an eye for that. Basically, we're done with these files, right? Index.android.js we can close, and same for the iOS. It's not interesting anymore. This is our app.js. Both entry points, Android and iOS, are pointing to that. They're importing the app component. And let's see, we have view, which is important, fine, text, fine, style sheet, important, fine, React and component, this is good. This is all looking good. Let's give it a hit. So let me exit that. So if you remember, we have those two. We have the React packager, that's how it's named, and we have the let's call it the initializer or something like that, and we have this. So if we had a real device, we could just, this is the cool magic, you can just shake it, and then you have a menu. Let me see that we're not dropping. You can just shake it, and then you have a menu saying enable hot reload, enable hot module reload, enable there are few options, we can see that in a sec, and you have something called just reload JS. So this is somehow magically happens that there is some kind of a base app, a native base app, which runs on your device or emulator, it's the same in that context, and above that in some layer lies all your JavaScript, which is getting interpreted into code, into native code, and then into your screen. So I don't know if you have tried before to develop to an Android or iOS device. The compilation time is a killer. Okay, it takes a lot of time, and if you have an error, then it's gonna dump it on the screen only post compilation, and everything is gonna be like, okay, this is taking a lot of time. In here, even if you have an error, not the whole app is getting the error. I mean, the app is still running. Only the JS layer gets the error, and you can swap that very quick, and you can even work with hot changes and hot reloading, and this is working just fine. So in order for us to open that, if you can see, I'm pressing Control and then like some vector. I don't know, I'm not sure what this does, but I just hit, okay, so I'm on the main screen of the app and I'm just doing Control M. I think it's Command M for Macs. And we can have, this is the option I just told you about. We have reload.js, which is just reloading all the code base. We have debug.js remotely, which basically, and we're going to show that later, it's going to open a Chrome DevTools for us. And we're going to be able to debug everything from the DevTools, which is pretty cool. And as you can see, hard reload, live reload, toggle inspector, capture heap. If you want to audit your app, enable pref monitor. I'm not sure what this does. I haven't done it in dev settings. But for now, we're just going to click reload.js and let's see, fetching JS bundle. Let's see what it does. Hopefully no errors, because we haven't done anything too nifty. And fetching JS bundle, yada yada yada. Actually, on real device, this works way faster, maybe because that's an emulator. I'll try to look for a way for me to cast my actual device onto the screen, onto the stream, so that will make it a lot faster and a lot of fun. As I said before, we have a couple of new viewers. Need to go. Okay, thank you very much. Have a great night. So as we can see, I didn't do that. I've been told that the new Android emulator is faster than the previous. As we can see, it's not that fast. I think I'll just go with Genymotion very soon. I just want you to see that in order to believe me that this works. For now, let's go and try to get the Genymotion. See if this is done. It's opening like that. If you have any question regarding what I'm doing or the stream or whatever, feel free to ask. Let's go get it now. Sign in. Download for Windows. Okay. Wow, this is like on the actual devices like 30 seconds, and here it's a lot of time. Let's see which end faster. By the way, feel free to follow me on the on Twitter, on GitHub. I have some nice projects over there if you want to check it out. And subscribe to this channel, obviously. Let's go with English. Next. All the regular stuff. As you can see, this is still a pain, the Android emulator. This is still a pain in every... I did develop at some point to Android. It was a pain back then, to the point that we just used actual devices, because that was, I think, a bit before Genymotion was out, because it was like, wow, unbearable. So Genymotion is a good replacement, and now, as we can see, even the emulator of the 2.0 version is a bit glitchy. It's kind of like that. VirtualBox is already installed. The version provided instead. No, oh, I do have VirtualBox. Cool. Yes. Okay, I'm gonna kill that because this is taking too long. And okay, there you go. Accept, yeah, whatever. Do you want to add the new one? Yes. So we're gonna have sign into X12. Okay. What the fuck? I really hope these are creds. Yeah, cool. Let's go with the same thing. So we had Nexus 5 back on the Nexus 5 like that. Nexus 5, yeah. So we had Nexus 5 on 6.0, API 23. This is the build we're aiming. 6.0, yeah, go. Google Nexus, let's call it React Native. Next, downloading files. This is gonna take a bit. So to those of you who just joined and haven't seen what happened, so I was trying to run the React Native over the Android emulator, the 2.0 version that comes up with Android Studio, and it was super slow. I did try the same thing on my actual device, and it was 3 seconds of compilation each time. So this is a development pain which shouldn't be there. But that's what we've got. So right now I've downloaded and I'm installing the what its name? Not the Genymotion emulator, which should be, I've never tried that before. It should be way faster and way intuitive and more intuitive. And let's hope it does that. Just 80 more megabits. Let me drink. Sorry. Yeah, for now this looks promising, I must say. Virtual is created. Cool, nice. Let's go. Let's start you. Initializing, starting. I do think that React Native should supply some sort of emulator, a unified emulator for both operating systems. I know they work about unifying everything that related to the components, including camera and all those native, let's go natively exit components, and they are working about that. I do think they should supply something like this for both, but this is just a matter of time, I think, and I know the React team is working hard on that. Let's wait for it to initialize. If the stream is not working properly, it did happen before. If it's dropping frames or something, let me know. So earlier we had the React packager that popped up once we did React build. Let's close it for now because it's connected to the previous simulator and we don't want that. Let's clear the screen. Let's hit that again. React Native Ran Android. We are under the project of Brenda, the React Native project. Here, there we go. The packager pops up again. Logging. As you can see, we said that before that I think it's coming from Buck, but only the modules that was recently updated are getting compiled. All these things are already up to date, and they shouldn't go undergo another compilation. Let's see. So this is the fetch, this is the server actually, the packager is just a server. Finding dependencies, building memory, building graph, file system, and there we go. So this is working nice, and as you can see, this is the same thing we had before. The only change is that we had index.android.js and we had index.ios.js, which both supplied the same code actually, but one entry point was iOS, one entry point was for the Android, and we took that away, everything from the depth of this app. We just said, okay, I'm gonna use a component called app. Actually, the app looks like the same component we had before, but it's unified for both platforms. Both components looking the same except for the indentation. Now they're absolutely the same, and that's it. So we moved from 2 files into a single code base, and now we can develop regularly like for every other app. So let's see that the Git is cool. What are the changes? Okay, indentation. Okay, so okay, let's go with simple let's just see for the sake of, let's see that it works. Hello stream. Let's go back to our Genymotion, Control M, reload JS, what happened before, and that got screwed by the native thing. And there we go, we can see the dependencies that are popping up, and we have the same thing, hello stream. This is working great. So I think this is it for the first part of how to initialize your app and how to cross all those boundaries that are stopping you from actually doing the things you want to. This thing, actually this is a nice anecdote. As you can see, we have commas, even though like usually you do like that. Usually you won't go with the final comma because some lints, ESLint I think kills you for that. But a guy from Facebook told me that if you're gonna do this and someone is gonna add another prop over here, then, and he has some error, then he's gonna get the blame on the pull request and not you, because you prepare the ground, something like that. That was a fun anecdote. Just something I just shared. Okay, so let me change the view over here. So far we've been talking about what to do with how to start actually, and how to follow the guide that comes up with the getting started. They do have a survey down there. If you're like feeling something was not clear and stuff, help them out, like submit a survey and like help those guys. I'm opening the stream just for a sec, live coding. I'm opening the stream page because I wrote below that the agenda. So the agenda today was to start like that as the app, start the app, and to do some fun splash screen. Okay, so let's build our first splash screen. And let me pop this, pop that. All right, this goes down. Just give me a thumbs up if the sound is okay and the video is okay. I'm gonna turn off the AC and come back in 1 sec because I'm freezing. Okay. Okay, so back to our thing. So we have our app basically set up. We said we want to build a splash screen. I know this usually won't come up as the first thing you're going to do in your app, but this is a fun thing to do, and I just want to do that for now. So I'm going to insert a new directory called splash screen. I am doing like in C#. I'm doing the first thing caps, so I'm gonna do like that. Okay, cool. Under splash screen, I'm gonna insert a new file, new JavaScript file. I'll call that splash screen, not surprisingly. And let's add that to the Git. While this differs, oh, because we changed it. Okay, cool. This doesn't shoot. Created splash screen.js. Okay, so I'm just copying all the imports, so I wanted to retype it. Okay, I might remove some of these components, but we'll see that in a sec. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say class splash screen extends component, no, component, curly brackets, export default splash screen, and I'm gonna put something here called, I'm gonna make a variable, a console variable called styles, and it's gonna come from stylesheet.create static function. Gets an object, and we're gonna just leave it like that for now. Okay, another thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my emulator and gonna say enable hot reloading. And everything I do is gonna get popped over there. Actually, you know what? Since it's taking a lot of time, I'm gonna stop that. Okay, never mind. I'll do that soon. Okay, so we're gonna design our splash screen. I didn't carry that question before of how to implement it. Do I want it to make it a root component, or do I want it to make it a component that for some logic just unmount himself? I did decide I'm gonna make it a root component, but it's not gonna have any access to any props or any states, so it's gonna be only there for the initialization. It's not gonna be rendered anymore, only once, actually twice, once for the initialization and once when it's gonna unmount himself. So this is gonna be something, it's gonna look something like this. So let's say we're gonna have views. Let's see, we're moving styles.instructions. Okay, cool. So this we just killed, so let me erase that. We don't need that. And one thing I want to go over is those components. As you can see, we have something out of the box that comes from React Native called view. We have another component called text. Jumping into the React Native documentation, let's go to components. So we have where was that? Guides you have for style. This is a nice thing to read. And we have image, and we have view. Let's open that, and we have text. All those you can see, these are core components of React Native. So we have activity indicator for iOS, Android layout for Android. If you're familiar or if you've been programming for iOS or Android, these words do mean stuff for you. Map view, list view, modal, navigator iOS, speaker iOS, and some other things. And as you can see, we can see immediately that some components are unified. Let's say text input, slider. Some components are unified, but some of them are not unified yet. So we have the refresh controller regularly, but we have progress view only for iOS, or picker. This is like a regular, and this is only for iOS. So I do know that the React team is working on method or like implementation of a unified version of those components. But for now, we're gonna have to do that. The sub message from that is that if we're gonna use something which is gonna be using either of those components, we're gonna use ifs, or we're going to need to create two separate files, one for iOS and one for Android. So this is the small sin of React Native, that they're not fully let's say not fully one single code based, but they're very, very close to that, and this is very, very cool. So we opened view. So view is the most fundamental component for building an UI. View is a container. Let's say it's equivalent to div, actually. If you're coming from web, then div is like your bread and butter. And it's supposed to lay out with Fluxbook, styles, some touch handling, and some accessible control, and is designed to be nested inside other views to have zero to many children of any type. So something like Sigma star over there. View maps directly to the native view. Do know that. Equivalent on whatever platform React is running on, whether that's a UI view, okay, which is coming from what is an iOS, div, which is coming from the web, or Android view, which is for Android. This example creates a view that wraps two colored boxes and custom component, and then we have some props and we have some cool things and examples. Very nice documentation for that. Same thing goes for text. Text is just standard thing for display text. It has some font family. It have some other special text dedicated props, text shadow color, text shadow offset, all those things that we're familiar with from CSS. Let's close it. Not now. Okay. What is this journey, sir? One second of a break. So Miss Real, I'm like coding me. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm I've learned React Web for a while. A while is like three months or so. Did a couple of apps. Did understand the Flux paradigm and how this thing works. I am trying to use the React Native way, and there is no better way than actually doing it. So I'm making an app, which is, I'm going to elaborate about that later, but on a nutshell, this app is going to help us to monitor when our dog was lately, did a walk lately, when did she pee, poo, you know, all those kind of things. So whenever you're going to hit home in 2 a.m. and not sure if she did do her daily walk or not, then you're going to have that for you. Not very complicated app. I do believe that in Angular I'm going to cover that in, I think, 1 day or so. But the whole challenge here is not to make it in 1 day in something that you're familiar with. So therefore I'm trying it with React Native, which I'm completely not familiar with, but I am familiar with React itself, and some other stuff that I'm halfway familiar with. I do hope that answers your question. If not, just let me know in the chat. So back to our splash screen, we have an empty component, and in our app we have the view and those things. So we said we're going to have the splash screen as a root component, and thanks you Hirohito for subscribing. So let's go with import. We're going to import splash screen from relative link. Remember that this is super critical. Splash screen dot this. Okay, cool. And what we're going to do is splash, small s, splash screen like that. This whole block should go here. And there we go. So we have our splash screen, and inside of it we have some nested components, something that everybody that works with React is familiar with, or even with regular HTML. Nested components is a simple thing. So if we're gonna, I did forget, okay, there we go. I do want to turn, okay, disable live reload and disable hard reload. I don't want that to just kill itself. So inside our splash screen app, let's try to do the following thing. So first thing first, we need to make a return a render function. This is the base thing of any component in React, and we're gonna have return. And in the return, I'm gonna use a view. It's gonna have a text in it. It's gonna say I'm splash screen. We're gonna change that later, but just for the sake of, for the argument, let's see that this actually works. So you're gonna have that and this. Now if we're gonna hit, let's say, reload, let's pop it sideways. Okay, so we're hitting an error called I expected a component class got object. Why is this happening? Where does this come from? Let me read that. React Native default injection. This is weird. As I said, I'm new to this too. So what I do think that will solve it is killing this, killing the packager, and maybe asking it to compile again. Because my feeling is we've added we actually added only single file, which is not bundled yet within the React Native bundle, and thus it's not in the compiled version of the JavaScript. So I'm just running the compilation again, and as you can see, everything is mostly up to date. This is coming from Buck, and mostly up to date, and it's gonna install that, installing APK debug, and there we go, we're over here. Let's hope the error won't pop again. Let's go with nodeJS, find dependencies. This is our React packager. This is a simple server. It's getting a request. let's check the chat meanwhile. Okay, cool. Building in memory heap, building file system, and there we go. So we're still hitting this error, and React Native message queue, app registry. Okay, so let's try to think what we've done wrong. So by default, this comes up. Let me just see something. If I'm removing this, splash screen export, let's go with reload. Let's see if this splash screen component, which is wrapping everything up, yeah. So for some reason, this works perfectly. Well, when I'm adding the splash screen, then something horrible happens. Let's see, splash screen, let's rename it like that. Export default splash screen, import and then these are not needed here actually. Import splash screen, and this should be modified as well. Okay, let's Control M, let's reload the JavaScript. Yeah, there you go. So maybe something with the naming convention. We need to dive that into that in a different time. So as you can see, we have our component tree, which is a splash screen and then a nested view. And splash screen itself is merely a view with a text. So since all those children of splash screen are not getting displayed here via this.props.children, then they're not displayed here. This is the same thing as React Web. So what we're going to do is something a bit different. So we said that we want to make a splash screen. How a splash screen behaves is usually you just let's say click on the YouTube link and you just see the link, the logo for a sec, red background, and then your app. It's something like I think 1 sec. So we're gonna make it like this. We're gonna call here an app, a function, I'm sorry, called this.timer. Okay, now let's create a method, timer, which I want above render. So timer is gonna be as simple of set timeout, standard JavaScript, set timeout of, we're gonna have a function here, like that, and it's gonna be for let's say 1 sec. Or React components have uppercase first letter. Yep. Thanks. So what we're gonna do in say timeout, we need to have some variable that's gonna indicate that we're done with our time. So we're gonna have a simple thing. This dot set state. This component is gonna have its initial state. This dot set state, and it's gonna be done, and it's gonna be true. Now, since we're using some state, we need a constructor or constructor. It's gonna get props. It's gonna send it to super. This is just standard. Even though we're not getting any props, we're gonna be using later, and just in case, just have that. And we're gonna say this dot state equals You can use this or use the standard get initial state. They should work the same. So this dot state is going to have done dot false. It's going to have false log. Okay, cool. So for now we have super props, and we have set timeout for 1 sec. And another thing I want to do is, what will happen is, let's say the timer runs out of time, and therefore this dot state is going to get executed. Now, since we're going to modify the state, we're going to have another render. Since we're going to have another render, we're going to run timer again. Even though it won't modify done again, since done will already be true, so there will be no changes and the algorithm will detect that, even though we will have 2 calls for this dot timer, even though we only need 1. So in order to cover that case, I'm going to add an if here. If this dot state dot done, so it's going to be a negate. If this, then do the timer. Therefore, we're going to have that executed only once in the initial run, or we can actually have something like component did mount. Okay, this is regular, and we're gonna just put it here and recover that case. Okay, so we have this as a part of the cycle, of the life cycle of in a component, and that's it. Yeah, that was a cool one. And okay, so if we're gonna re-render that, let's say Control M, reload.js, we are not going to see any difference. And the reason is, even though we've had everything defined, all the constructor and the timer and all those beautiful things, we're not actually displaying anything else rather than the same view. So what we're going to do is if this dot state dot done, all right, and we're going to do, we're actually going to make the shorter version. This dot state dot done question mark something something. So what it's going to be here is this part. So if we're done, we want to display something, but if we're not done, we want to display the what it's named, the splash screen itself. So let's add a comment here. So display splash screen. Okay, let's pop it like that. This reminds a bit of PHP actually for the going down. The next thing I'm going to display here is, since if you remember we have splash screen and have everything nested underneath it, so in case this dot state dot done, which means that we're out of timer, we'll just go with this dot props dot children and sorry, and 3 dots. That's it. Okay, so if done, show all nested. Okay, so we have that. Let's commit that. app.js. So we had error cause splash screen wasn't in capital letter. Let me copy your nick for that. And here, Hirohito. Thanks, Hirohito. Let's commit that, and implementing splash screen. Okay, cool. So we have this going on, and this should work. So by definition, if the splash screen works correctly, then after 1 second of displaying I'm splash screen, is going to display welcome to React Native. Okay, let's go. Control M, reload.js, drinking some water. Okay. So beautifully, we have an error over here. I think I shouldn't have done that, or So I have an error dumped, huge error, which said the render must return a valid React element. So for some reason, did.props.children is not valid, and maybe because of the style, no, it shouldn't be that. And let's see, maybe if we do like this. No, just is it props.children? Let's try that. No, still dumping an error. I did do a tryout for that error, and I do remember that I was hitting this error, and this is 2:30 a.m. So wait, I'm not getting to the right directory. So I'm just gonna look at what I've done before React Native splash screen, and we had components. No, and we had components and splash screen JS. How did I return that? This is weird. Okay. Okay. So I was okay. The error is that this.prop.children does not exist, but children does exist. So thank you for being a compiler. Let's see that. Fetching JS bundle. And splash screen, and welcome to React Native. So this one works. Typos are a disease, and this is not how you write a disease. Okay, so we have this going for us, but we would try to make it a bit prettier because nobody uses those splash screens. So what I'm gonna do. Let's see, what do we have here? The welcome goes for this and the container goes for that. Okay, so we will need something which is similar to the container, but there we go. Without actually, but just so this gets style, and it will get styles.container. So styles attribute on the core components, actually more on the view. I'm not sure about like the rest. I know it's on view and text for sure. So style is getting an object of properties that are looking a bit like or very similar like to CSS. So you're gonna have flex one. We're gonna have justify content to the center, align items to the center, background color. Let's go just in order to see if this is working. Let's go with green. And another thing I want to do is I want to do, I think it's called flex direction. Yeah, I'm going to make it a column. Okay. Control M, below JS. Splash screen, that was green. Now another thing, we just noted that was for a very short time. Now we would like to make something like this. I want to say duration. It's gonna be let's say 3 seconds. Background color, I want to set that too, and let's say let's say blue. Okay, and anything else I'm trying to think on. Later on we'll pass an option for an image, but not now. So we had that coming up in props. This is cool. And what we do need to do, is the following thing. in order for us to pass something into the style from a parent component, we do need to pass it as a pointer to some variable or a variable by value that's coming from the style sheet object. So it's going to be a bit different than what we're used to from regular React. Let me see if there are any questions. No, cool. It's a bit different from what we're used to from regular React, and therefore this won't work. Okay, so what I'm going to add here is I'm going to add here, wait, let me drag that over there. I'm going to add here splash screen container. And I'm gonna add here background color, and that will be blue. So in here, I'm gonna pass styles dot what its name was, splash screen container. Cool. So let's go back to our thing. We have our container. I did try to merge in some way those styles, and I did hit a lot of errors. I did find this way to be the fastest. I think that will be the word for that. Okay, back to our thing. We said we're gonna edit the duration, so let's deal with that first. So set timeout, it's gonna be for 1 second. So let's say this props duration, or 1 sec. Let's have a fallback for that. In case of emptiness or null, that's a 1 sec. That's a standard thing. And background color, we're gonna pass it like this. So view style was style.container. Now we said it can get an object. It can also get an object that's containing an array. And over here, I can say this dot props dot, what was the name? Splash screen container. Like that. So whenever it's gonna get rendered, it's gonna merge. It's gonna flatten actually the this style and whatever other styles you're gonna pass, and it's gonna put them as one property. Something I do need to check is what happens if I have two exact properties, which will run over the other. It will be the first, will be the last. I do tend to believe that it will be the last in the array because logic, but let's try. We did set that here for blue. Okay, so let's remove it from here. I'm thinking, okay, let's just drop it. Control M, let's go reload.js. Splash screen, as you can see, the background is not working. These are the props. Splash screen container. For some reason, this thing was not passed properly, and let's try to understand why. Style splash screen container. Oh, yeah, that's not a property name. There we go. Reload.js. Great. So now we have our splash screen in blue for 3 seconds, and then it's done. So let's commit that. Popping styles like G6 from parent to child. So this is very basic, but these are things that usually waste your time on the learning curve for you to be productive on whatever framework. So this is a very simple example, but it's still interesting for us. So we do have a splash screen for 3 seconds that displays text. Now let me change that into, let me close this. Let's go for a standard color. What will be the word? Okay, Google's material colors. I know it's not how you spell that, but it's working. They should have their palette over here. There we go. So this is a cool website I'm using every once in a while. I will put the link for that in the description of the stream. It has all the palettes and all the presets you might want for you to create a material designed themed app. For now, we'll go, since it's an app about caring and stuff, let's go with this purple. I don't know why, I just randomly picked it. Okay, and let's just see for the sake of the argument that it works. Fetching JS bundle, splash screen. Okay, very nice. I think I'll go with a bit lighter. Maybe this. Much lighter, but it's okay. So we're having that going on for us. This is the designing part. Usually it's, there you go, pinkish. It's the most frustrating if you have no intuition regarding to design, and I do not have any. So we're gonna have that. Another thing we might want to do is, we're not gonna want to have some text over here. We want to have an image, a logo per se. So we're gonna delete that, and we're gonna jump back to the getting started thing, and it's gonna look for image. Image is unified component between any device. And as you can see, the API is gonna look something like that. So image, it's looking much like HTML. It's gonna have the same style attribute, which is cool. And we're gonna have a source attribute. Let's see if you have any questions. This is the time, because this thing, and I'm gonna elaborate about that in a sec, this thing is a heavy problem causer if you're not knowing what's going on over there. So you're gonna have this source. Okay, cool. So this shouldn't be very hard. So we just want to do an image like that. Okay, let's see, we're not importing that, so let's call image as well. So back to the thing, we have image, and we're gonna have style for that, but let's for now pass an empty object. And we said we're gonna have source, which is gonna get an object. Now, if we can look at it, source is getting an object, which is a require for some picture. So this is a bit weird, because unless you've done like unless you wrote a little server and all require stuff, usually when you call for a picture, it's like just images or and stuff like that, like regular HTML stuff. So for me, it's a bit weird, but we're not gonna let that hold us. I'm gonna create another directory called assets. Under assets, another directory called logo, and I did create up front. Let's check this out. React Native, not hello world. Oh, this was actually trying to pass. Good. So I did have some logo created on Photoshop. This is like 3 minutes work. And let's go Brenda, assets, logo, and there. So you can see we have that. Let's add that. Yeah, let's add that to the VCS. A lot of changes, but added logo asset. And whatever change here is, we're still working on that, so we don't want that, and we do want that. Styling changed for child. Okay, great. So we have the image component brought into the workspace, and we're gonna say we're passing an empty style, but this should get a require, and it's a function, so it's gonna get a string, and let's say relative path up, another up, assets, the slash logo slash, and this. Now I've read online a lot that if you won't give the file extension, it's gonna kick your app in the face, and this is kind of standard thing, because whenever, even in HTML, you're not supplying the extension, you're getting kicked in the face. I did mention before, do remember the relative thing. If you won't do that, you will get kicked in the face. I'll try to refresh that. I do tend to think that we're gonna hit an error since this is not bundled yet, and yes, only send a non-empty expression. Oh, actually for that, really? Let's try it again. Really cool, it worked. So we have Brenda thing showing up, but it's huge. So we're gonna have another attribute here in the styles. We're gonna say logo. We're gonna say width 300 and height 300. Now, hey, can I ask a very hard question with JS? 1 sec. So I do note for you that I'm not supplying any units. I'm not supplying pixels or EM or CM or whatever, and I could not find anywhere in the documentation about which unit they're using. If you can find, then please write for me in my Twitter or whatever. Just let me know, because I was looking for that. So style is gonna get styles.logo. Let's close that. Let's see if it's pulling it correctly. Yeah. Let's go with reload. Fetching bundle. And the Brenda thing is it's a bit off because the image is a bit off, but let's put it aside for now. And this is passing nicely. Okay, cool. Now, what we've done here is we've supplied the source hard-coded, and we would like to pull that out. So let's take it away and say this.props.logo. So therefore, we're gonna need to go back here and into our splash screen. We're gonna need to give a logo prop. It's gonna be like that. Now, do note that I'm passing the whole require statement. Okay, now usually you would say, why would you do that? Just pass the string. So I did try to pass the string. I was trying to pass the string, and I was trying to pass the pointer to require, and I was trying to wrap require in another method. But what I did found in a lot of Stack Overflow search is that if you're not stating this implicitly, then it will, for some reason, it won't load. So I'm not fully understanding why that happens, but I do know that it should be required like this. So I gave it as a props, and I'm passing it as a source, and there you go. Requiring unknown module .asset .no. Now, this error is not caused because I did like something wrong. It's because we're in the wrong path. App is not on the same folder as splash screen, so we should take it one directory down, but let's just, for the sake of it, let's try it from bottoms up. So, and then we go assets, logo, Brenda log. Okay, reload that for us. Let's see what's going on. So we have Brenda showing up, and we have 3 seconds after, welcome to React Native. So that's cool. We have our own splash screen ready. Splash screen is ready. We have that going for us. I will confess that I hate the color. Let's pick that and okay. So let's change that. Let's see if it's looking any better. Yeah, this is a bit better. Cool. In the future, I will modify it. I will add some animation, but this is going to be a lot towards the end of this project. For now, this will do is we have a splash screen. Okay, I want to add this function. I will address this question in a sec. So just to recap, this will be asked for today. So we start with initializing a React native app. started by that. We moved from duplicate or multiple code base that we had, one for Android, one for iOS. We moved from that towards a single code base called, we just called the component app.ios. We have our app itself nested within a component we created called splash screen. We are passing it some logos so it can be reusable later and somewhat stateless. We're passing a duration and we're passing a background color. These are getting called over here. And after some time, that the timer function, which goes for either the duration or fallback for 1 sec. When this is done, then this props.children is getting rendered and everything works fine. So last display of that. Cool, and this looks nice. This will do for the splash screen for now. What did I modify? I think it was the color, right? Yeah. Change color. Okay, so this will do for now. I will address some questions that I saw in the chat, and let's see, Legionodo. Okay, just to wrap it up before I go to the Q&A part, I will be casting the rest of this app throughout this month. I think I am addressing my last finals in this degree, so I do think that I won't be this or very much online or very much casting, but I will be whenever I can. Do subscribe to the channel if you want to get notified whenever I'm casting, or follow me on Twitter, and I will upload everything on YouTube once I have the video edited. Okay, so question. Okay, I want to edit this function, but I don't know how because the function is in jQuery function. Let's open that. Hi, why not native? Baumco is still here. Yeah. Baumco, what do you mean by not native? I'm not sure what the question is. Okay, so we have some function here. Check low buffer console only checks. I'm not quite sure what the question is. This is goes for Android. We can chat about that later. I don't want to keep everybody on stream for that. Feel free to tweet me or Facebook me or whatever, and we'll get on that. React is a native. It's hybrid, I guess. Java development is native. Okay. 1 sec, Lenjoto. Okay, so Baumco, the thing is that, as you say, Cordova and PhoneGap, and I was going over that in the beginning. So those frameworks are supplying a fake native, as you said. They're actually taking some web view, which is a component that iOS and Android have, and wrapping it in in a semi-app or pseudo-app, and they're saying, okay, we have an app. The problem with that, as you probably know, is scale. It won't scale, and it will lag. Now, the thing with React Native is that it's not being viewed over the native level of the phone. So it's not being rendered over a component of WebView. It's being rendered and compiled actually over the native device itself. So, and that's the cool thing about React Native, is that it's being compiled to a native code base. So if I'll be looking here, okay, so just type, during the thing, just type what you're familiar with. It's Android or iOS, but just for the sake of it, so we have two folders here, Android and iOS, and as you can see, we have everything here, which is Gradle, and we have the app itself, okay, and we have, let's go for the build and generated and source, and okay, this goes down as it was created, but you have everything that is project related. So in case I want to open it, let's go. So you even have the debug APK. So if I will have it opened in, let's say, Android Studio, or actually if we'll go to the iOS, you actually have an Xcode project, which is native to iOS, right? So this is the cool thing about React Native, is that it's being rendered, compiled towards a native machine code, and therefore it won't have all the lagging problems. Now this went out for Android for like I think a year now. This is out for Android for a year now. Yes, Animaja. So this is out for a year now, so it's very, very young, but it's still very, very interesting. And you're like, if you're interested in how they do it, then like the documentation, and they have the React blog, so you better check it out, and it's very, very cool. That's why it's a huge buzz now. And Imaja, I'm running the thing for you for like 2 times now. You can watch the stream once I'm closing it. You will be able to replay it. And Lejondo, let's talk about this in a private chat, so not everybody needs to see that. So guys, thank you very much for being here, and we'll be back at this development in the close future. Goodbye.